I always say no one has to tell you why this place is special. It just is. Even the town is named after this place in this race, and it's become an icon that transcends continents. Find me the household racing names that span the globe, and Indianapolis is one of them. Tonight, it's 85 laps around this historic 2.5-mile oval in the 11th round of the Area Cup Series. The playoffs inch closer, and it will just ramp up the intensity of the special moment for one driver to win at the Brickyard. Hi everybody, Kyle Heyer, joined by Hunter Sleppy and Finian DeCuna tonight for the 11th round of the series. And as the regular season winds down, the challenges ramp up, Finian. This place is huge, and it doesn't seem to matter whether you're racing into the facility to the parking spots or if you're racing around the racetrack. It is special to not only to win here, but just to be here.
It really is. It almost just feels majestic in a way. It's got such a pristine history, such a long history, over 100 years worth here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and these drivers trying to etch their names in the history books here for the Area Cup Series as they make their return here. And as you mentioned, with the regular season winding down, it's going to be more important for the point standings. Only 5 different winners so far this season, and only 2 races left to get a win and secure yourself in, or get a huge heaping amount of points to make sure you're secure.
Yeah, and last year's winner, Blaze McKinney, looking to bring his machine back into victory lane so he can secure his spot officially in the playoffs, sitting 10th in the point standings right now. But one driver looking for revenge or vengeance is David Weishart. He won the pole here, led the most laps last year, but just got caught up in some shenanigans where he finished way down in the order, so going to want another chance at kissing the art of brakes virtually for his home track. And there's a bunch of different guys in the field that are looking to etch their name as winners of the Brickyard. The only 2 to do so far for the Cup Series. James Skyley back in Season 4, and then Blaze McKinney from Season 5, in which he only led the last 2 laps after a fantastic move on the green-white checker.
Yeah, this place is so special, and I had my first chance to watch a race on the oval here last year at the 2023 Indianapolis 500. I'd been there before in road course context. I'll be there in 2 weeks, back for the Indianapolis 8-hour on the broadcast team. Very excited about that opportunity, but I didn't really understand the scale of this place till I visited it for the first time. When I saw the Indy cars around it, it is absolutely special. You run the stock cars here though, Finney, and things look a little different. We've got the next-gen cars now. They race well here, but strategy will be a component of this tonight. We probably won't see crazy tire wear, and just looking at the weather again, it's not crazy hot like we've seen, so I'd anticipate an interesting race tonight. It's going to be pretty competitive and a lot of draft to speak of as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a big thing. I mean, of course, the next-gen car, I would argue, races a lot more closer to an Indy car compared to how the Cup Series cars used to race. So that's something these drivers got to keep in mind as qualifying is getting underway here. Drivers getting on their warm. You can see them already swerving in the warm-up lane, trying to get the tires up to temperature and ready to set. They only got 1 lap to set a decent time, and off they go on the racetrack.
Yeah, really important here to get a lap in. It's a long racetrack, 2.5 miles to be exact, and going to want to get a good warm-up in before the big kahuna, the big the big lap that counts, in which, like I mentioned, Weishart led the, he didn't leave, well, he did leave the most laps, but he won the pole last year with a 51.698, so I would look around that time range to see which driver is going to be at the top of the board.
So many jokes I wanted to throw out there, but I won't. As we come across start line, here comes Adam Cabot to begin his qualifying effort here. Not a lot of time to do it, just 5 minutes and 1 go around here. And just riding on board with Cabot, you're almost fully committed to the throttle all the way around this place. And because it's so line sensitive, and when you see drivers make a mistake and wash up the hill, you don't have a lot of time to catch it. Maybe more time than you would in an open wheel car, but this place will bite you in a big way.
Oh, it absolutely would, and that's a big thing, trying to keep it close, trying to keep it tight on the inside line, just a little bit below the white line in the corners, but just off the concrete patches. Keep off that curbing. Do not touch, do not enter it, otherwise you'll find yourself being spun around. These cars are very much an edge fighting through these relatively flat corners.
Yeah, relatively flat, about 9 degrees in banking for all the turns, and straightaways are about even. I don't think there's any banking on the straightaways as Matthew Bell and David Weishart complete their laps with Brent Bukhari. The names are going to go on and on. Adam Cabot going to come across the stripe 7th.
Yeah, things are going to happen really quickly here because of just 1 attempt in a long lap, so it's hard to kind of get a sense of where people are. Ben Pierce across the line in the 65.52.883. That's second last right now. That puts him last, 14th. 15th now. Philip Groner in the number 11. He's on the backstretch warming up. Michael Curhan in the 24, reigning champ, working his way through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Blaze McKinney up into 6th place. Seth Nolan, the 1. He comes flying across the line. It's going to be 52.5 for him. That puts him only back in 12th. Meanwhile, here comes Curran across the line. You see him chilling out on the front straightaway, long straightaway down to the start-finish line, and he will end up second, just 5,000 shy of pole.
That's an interesting note there from his signage for the week.
Well, at least Indy doesn't have to do the Daytona Day thing, right?
Oh, God, very true.
I guess they sort of have that. Carb Day, which I, as a cross-country runner in high school, was a different thing. But
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Jake Matheson is on his qualifying effort right now, the number 54 machine, and up onto the backstretch here. Scioli is on his flying lap. He's a little further along in that pink solar flare car. Off into turn 3. Big commitment on the entries to these corners as well, Finian, and we've seen how narrow this track really gets and how lane sensitive it is. We've got almost 40 cars here tonight, so it's going to get pretty busy out there, especially on the restarts.
Well, definitely is, and actually just ahead of him, Jake Nichols, he comes across the line only 13th for the 73. Here comes his teammate, James Kelly, running on board with him. Across the line for him, 52.438. That's going to be only good enough for 7th. Philip Groner comes across the line in the 11. He's up into 3rd. And next driver, there's Jake Matheson across, and for him, provisional pole.
Yeah, it's a good lap, 52.351. Still got guys going out trying to put their best lap down. Jeremy Miller in the 30. So I'm surprised by the difference in laps. I guess there were updates to the car since the last time we ran, but this is a steep drop-off from last season's qualifying time.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like it's cooler here, right? I mean, it was hot the last time, I thought. There's Connor Horn up onto the back straightaway now, and you just get to take a break for a little while. We talked about, the road course racing, Sonoma, Montreal. You didn't have any chance to take a breath. You get plenty of breaths here, at least in qualifying.
He's going to kind of close with his time. I don't know if he'll get there.
He might not make it. You're right. 10 seconds.
Nope, he definitely will not.
So, and he'll join about a half a dozen others who will not qualify. Jake Matheson and Matthew Bell are going to be on the front row for this one, as Connor Horn is going to be just a few seconds shy of making it to the checkered. Timed that a little bit wrong. So, race fans, make sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. If you have not, as a subscriber, you'll have Area iRacing emotes to use in the chat, and you can earn double channel points that you can use to redeem for free merchandise for just $5 a month. Join today at twitch.tv/Area iRacing. And mentioned it earlier, but guys, I'm really excited when I get to head to Indy here in the next couple of weeks. My first ever endurance race broadcast. I'm so stoked to be working alongside Calvin Fish and Ryan Marine for that one. Really cool opportunity to head to the Brickyard and join the guys on an Intercontinental GT broadcast. It's BMW, Porsche, and Mercedes-AMG all vying for that championship, and it's the final round after the first 3 at Bathurst, the Nürburgring, and at Spa. And while certainly the 8-hour is one of the endurance races of all time, it still feels like a pretty cool moment for me. I'm super stoked. And when I saw Indy tonight, in the past this hasn't been a track that I've been really excited for, but I don't know, man. There's something about it.
Oh, there's always something about it. And you correct me if I'm wrong, you're only going to be in the booth.
Yes, not just the PA this year. I'll be on the broadcast with the boys this time. Amanda Busick from, you might know her from Fox Sports and Fox NASCAR and NHRA, and got to work with them earlier this year back at Virginia International Raceway. Had a full weekend on the broadcast there, but and I won't be on the TV for anything other than the 8-hour and GR Cup at Indy, but it does mark the first time that I've ever done a live broadcast for an international endurance race, which good way to start too, kind of close to home.
Yeah, I was going to say, fantastic opportunity for you. Best of luck in that. What time does the race start?
It'll be next Saturday at about 10:30 a.m. is when the pre-race starts. Not next Saturday. It's Saturday, October 5th is the race. So 2 weeks from 1 week from this Saturday. Man, get it all mixed up. But it's
you got to work on math. You got an 8-hour endurance race.
Well, I'm really excited. It's definitely. When we started SimTV almost 7 years ago now, I don't think we really knew what it would turn into, but all of this is a direct correlation from all the SimTV stuff over the last handful of years, and it was all the connections and things that made it all possible along the way. I have my job because of this, so I kind of keep doing this because it keeps working out. We also just finished up the Toyota GR Cup North America Esports League on Saturday, and Finian That was kind of a project that you and I kind of spearheaded on the grunt work side, and that was also super satisfying to host an esports championship for Toyota of all people.
Yeah, that series was awesome. I mean, I didn't really get a chance to enjoy it because I was busy handing out penalties left, right, and center. But from the racing I was able to watch and actually enjoy, it was phenomenal. Every single race, there was constant back and forth action. Of course, Michael Polisek just kind of went on, dominated pretty much every single race that's the season. But yeah, those guys did a fantastic job. Great racing. Well, Indianapolis. It's kind of funny how it worked out, right? We had GR Cup on Saturday. Now we're here for Monday, and then, of course, real life stuff. We're going to go to Indianapolis in about a week or two time.
Yeah, I just have to take a little short pit stop out to Laguna Seca this week, so it's okay over here in the Kyle Heyer household. Anyway, let's get down to business here. Central Mobile Homes is our starting grid sponsor. If you're looking for a small or large home, a new shed, or a Triple Crown trailer, look no further than Central Mobile Homes. They've been proudly serving Florida customers for 28 years with a plethora of small and large home floor plans, shed designs, and Triple Crown trailers. Available in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to centralmobilehomesinc.com to get started today. We'll head down to the grid and get things rolling here with that Central Mobile Homes starting lineup here, Finian. On the front row, it's Jake Matheson and Matthew Bell. As we documented strong qualifying efforts, they start out front.
Yeah, really good effort for them. And then a strong second row as well. Michael Curran rolling off in third in the number 24 car next to him. Philip Groner in the 11 lineup in fourth place.
Sorry to cut you off, but Philip Groner actually has an EOL, so he's going to be starting at the rear. There's a lot of guys that have EOLs that are going to be starting at the rear.
Well, that is going to be tough for him. Conor Okrasic rolls off fifth place in the number 14. And we've also got David Weishart lined up alongside him in the number 33.
Moving on back to seventh place, Andrew Payne's lineup in the 70 car. Next to him in eighth, it's going to be James Scully lineup in the number 7 machine.
And in ninth place, Jonathan Oates in the number 45. Blaze McKinney in the 87 starts in 10th place.
Meanwhile, back in 11th, we find Cameron Hearn in the number 4 car. Next to him is going to be Adam Cabin in the 07 lineup in 12th.
And 13th place is the number 13 car, Drew Jua. Reese Schaefer qualified 14th in the number 97.
Moving on back to the 52 machine, we have Peyton Howell lined up in 15th place. Next to him, Jake Nichols, way back in 16th in the 73.
And not the effort he was looking for. Douglas Newbiging, Ed Scherer Jr., they share row number 9, 17th and 18th for the 71 and 17.
Moving on back to 19th, it's going to be Greg Mitchell in the number 2 car. Next to him, Seth Noel lined up in the 1 in 20th.
And 21st place is Brett Puncari and Ricky Springer. They've got some onboard cameras for us tonight that we'll get to see. 21st and 22nd for those two.
We'll be back to 23rd. Jeremy Miller is going to be lined up in the 30 car. Next to him, Tyler Nichols lined up in the 41 in 24th.
25th place, Ed Robertson in the 64. Nick Silver rolls off 26th in the 99.
We went back to 27. It's going to be Bryce Senizek in the 09. Next to him, Garrett Grant, in the number 5, line 28th.
Ben Pierce, 29th in the number 65. Jackson Anderson, 30th in the number 83.
Moving back to 31st, Emerson Arden's lined up in the 57. Next to him, Connor Horn back in 32nd after not being able to put a qualifying time down.
Haley Turner, 33rd in the number 25 Chevrolet. Travis Beckner, 34th in his number 28.
Moving on back to 35th, it's going to be Justin Bonneran in the number 9. Next to him, Seth Berger in the 77, lined up 36th.
Max Service will bring up the rear of the field, but that is before, of course, all of the EOLs. That will have a bunch of drivers drop to the rear. And you can see in the very tail of this pack, there's Groner and the rest of the EOL runners all the way back there. It's about 5 or 6 cars that have to serve those. As pace cars got the lights off, 85 laps is the race distance. If it goes green from flag to flag, it's 1 hour and 14 minutes. Will put us checkered just after 10:20 on the East Coast. But every time you come to Indianapolis, it is a special moment when you walk through the tunnel. You see Gasoline Alley, you see the Pagoda. It is a special place. Rogers House and the Brickyard. 115 years of history continue here in iRacing tonight in the Area Cup Series, round 11 of the season. Matheson and Bell take us to the green flag, and we're underway at Indy.
Oh, Max Service hit into the wall, taking out the 83, caution out immediately in turn 1.
And just like that,
big for
back under yellow.
big for those guys that didn't get qualifying times. And Connor Horn, I believe, got through relatively okay, was a part of that. But it also hurts those guys that had EOL start at the back. And Emerson Arden, I'm not sure if he still has to serve this, but he actually has to serve a driver.
Back and have a look at this here. Max Service in the 81. Big stack up there on the outside, and it just gets everyone bottled up, and they were 3 wide into the opening corner. And that map does not work.
Yeah, just stack them in both lanes, actually. You can see right there. And there's check on the inside. That's in there on the 81, the 83, nowhere for him to go. Same thing with Reese Schaefer. Actually, no, is that Connor Horn that got a small piece of that?
Yeah, the 42, Connor Horn, he got just a little bit of it, but like you mentioned, Kyle, they just checked up, and I mean, it's the beginning of the race. There's guys in the back, they're ready to go, especially if they didn't get a lap in or if they had EOL, so they're not expecting that. And yeah, Connor Horn tapped the wall, tapped the bumper of the 83. I think he got through relatively okay.
Spectner's do got a nice launch here on the right. It's by Arden and the number 9 of Justin Bondurant, and then he sees this and he checks up. He knew it was coming, and he was able to bail out. That was really forward thinking. Watch this again. Listen to Beckner's throttle here. He knows something wrong is happening. Yeah, he was braking before that even happened, and I think that's what allowed him to sneak on through and miss all that calamity.
Well, that was perfect timing because we didn't get a chance to make our picks for the race.
Well, that's your point. Only 1 pace lap tonight, so our picks tonight, it's not going to be the 81. And Hunter Sleppy, you're last in the commentator standings right now. Who you got?
I was going to go with the pole sitter, but I'm going to go with the hometown hero, David Weishart, in the 33.
Interesting pick. I'm going to be second. I'm going to roll with the 24, Michael Curran. I think this track and this place are going to work out well for him. I think he'll do just fine.
I mean, if you're not going to go the pole sitter, I will. I think Jake Matheson's going to win it from pole.
All right. Not everyone can take the pole sitter. And at some point, you're going to get burned.
I mean, I haven't burned this season. I've been leading pretty well, although you caught up to me last week.
Well, there's give it time. It's playing the long game here, all right?
Is that what they call it?
I have the same number of wins as you, by the way. They all came from the same driver, but...
I mean, it doesn't matter. I have more points than you. This is the NASCAR.
We need a playoff system.
When you're in. We need a playoff.
What about a caution clock?
Oh, boy.
For our picks.
Let me stop you there.
Caution clock? How would that work?
It would work by when I don't like Finian's pick, he gets to be the yellow.
I thought by caution clock after every yellow we just change our picks if we want to.
That's actually a really good idea.
Speaking of the caution clock, I thought it was really funny. I was laughing at myself when on the broadcast for the GR Cup race. I can hear you talking about the fact that we didn't have a caution the whole time at all this season.
I was like, hit the button.
But you never know. You never know. We might get one.
I read too far ahead in the script. All right, we've got our first look at our first replay tonight, the Hendry County Motorsports Park replay. Racing is back at the Hendry County Motorsports Park. Join us on October 5th to see 360 Top Gun, Winged Sprints, Street Stocks, V8 Warriors, and more. Tickets are $15 for adults with discounted prices for seniors, teens, and kids ages 5 and under are free. Come see racing at the southernmost dirt track in America. Located in Clewiston, Florida, off U.S. Highway 27. Visit HenryRacing.com for more information.
Yeah, and for those wondering where the driver for the official flagman of the Hendry County Motorsports Park, Travis Beckner, is and why he's so far back, he's returning from a suspension that he went through after the incident that occurred at Montreal where he got 2 incident points. He's at 6 on the season so far, so he's on probation for the rest of the year. Same with Landon Cardola, which is why he's not here tonight. So he'll be back at Talladega, but Travis Beckner just starting at the rear, and he's got to keep a clean car for the rest of the season if he wants a shot at the title.
Cars on pit lane there, getting some service. It looks like a little bit of everything. Some fuel only, and actually I think it's mostly fuel only. Phil Groner might have taken tires, but...
Yeah, I could see a lot of these guys getting some gas. I saw Jake Matheson when he was approaching the pace car. When they were gassing him because they had to do an extra lap to catch back up. He was actually letting off the gas and letting the car coast for quite a while. I think he was clutching it in, shutting it off. I think he's feeling like, worth the fuel save. And I think if we get another caution, I think it's going to make it really close for some of these other drivers.
Yeah, this does throw a little wrench into things because usually we have a long green flag run. We didn't get our first yellow in this race last year until literally halfway through when it was 80 laps. Now we have an extra 5 laps. So this is going to be interesting if we get a long run, Kyle. I think the first 24 cars have yet to pit. Everyone 25th on back, from Tyler Nichols on back. They've at least come down and taken fuel.
Yeah, this is one of those races that could play out in a pretty long form, meaning we could get a lot of green flag running. So if you can set yourself up, to sacrifice some track position now. I just know that track position is so important in these races, and if it ends up being a track position race over a strategy race, I don't want to bury myself in 25th, especially with what we saw on the initial start for this race. By the way, the PA booth here is one of the coolest booths. I mean, of course you could figure that because it's Indianapolis, but they've got like monitors like 45 into the desk ahead of you, and the nicest headsets you've ever seen, and big glass box around you. It's really cool. It's a really nice racetrack. Beautiful facility, and Jake Matheson is going to lead him back to the green here for the restart. Lap number 5 back underway at Indianapolis. Jeremy Miller through the grass almost into turn 1 and out of turn 2. This time we've made it.
Furthest we made it so far tonight. We'll see how they can keep it up, especially as they're still side by side in the middle of the field, and no one's really want to give up the real estate, the prime real estate they have at the moment, because now is the best time you can make some passes.
The best real estate so far is Jake Matheson with a Kresik on his bumper heading into turn 3. A lot of single file and even side by side outside the top 10. One of those being Jake Nichols, looking to get his run going after starting outside the top 15.
Ricky Springer's buried in this mess as well, trying to carve his way forward. Started in 22nd, he's up a couple of spots. And this racetrack, at points it feels very wide, and then when you get into the entries of the corners, it narrows down so much. And the racing line just condenses here, but you want the bottom of the racetrack most of the time.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to really keep anything going on the top. We usually talk with the next-gen car. Very favorable to run that top line here, not so much. You really kind of want to be towards that inside line. It gets very tight on the corner exits like you were mentioning before. And there is Michael Curran in the 24, all tucked up right in behind Connor Kresik and Jake Matheson, the top 3. Some close racing on in behind. I see Drew Draw and Andrew Payne duking it out for 11th.
Yeah, just outside the top 10. They stood a lap before entering turn 3. Still side by side behind him, though. Ed Shearer Jr. to the inside of Seth Knoll in the 1, also having to come from deep in the field around mid-pack. Greg Mitchell side by side behind him. That's the 51 of Ricky Springer looking to make a move.
And here comes Curhan on the bottom in the 24, past Okrezik. Okrezik doesn't fight it, and then Weishart past Bell. Bell's dropped a couple of spots in the opening stages of this race, back to 5th now after starting 2nd.
Looking further back there, some side-by-side action. That is, who's in the middle of that?
Nick Silver,
Ricky Springer.
Noel, Springer, and Kari all back in this mix.
There you go. I was trying to find where on earth this was in the field. So many cars all close together. Ricky Springer in 18th, Noel 19th. And Noel actually not the best qualifying for him. Ended up back in 20th. But Kari there on the outside lane. You got to be very careful. It's so easy to try to gas it up early. You think you're good for the corner. Then all of a sudden the wall comes up to you and you end up pancaking it. It's not necessarily Darlington. You're not going to leave it Darlington straight, but you can definitely smack the wall quite a few times around here if you're not careful enough.
Yeah, Bryce Senesac, another driver with a hometown race here in Indianapolis, want to have a solid run going. Philip Groner still working his way through. One of the cars that come down pit road, top off on fuel, up to 25th. He's got side-by-side battle in front of him with Poonкari and Garrett Grant.
35's on the outside. He's going to try to tuck in. Groner said no thank you. Popped to the inside with his number 11 Toyota Camry, and now it's a little bit of a side draft here. And for the top spot, here comes Michael Curhan for the lead. And Matheson doesn't fight it. He's going to tuck right back in. That looked like an IndyCar move. Just concede, drop into line.
I mean, like I said, cars race a lot like an IndyCar. You have to pretty much treat it like such. So Michael Curran able to make the move on through. Jake Matheson, the exchange for the lead. And we'll see now, the big question is how long can he keep that lead up? Will Matheson let him keep that lead, or will he try to fight it back? I have a feeling that Matheson's probably going to try to play a long game and just kind of sit behind and let the 24 burn his stuff up.
It'll also be good fuel saving wise because he can burn less fuel running in second rather than leading. Meanwhile, Adam Cabot, Matthew Bell duking it out for position. Cameron Hearn in the 4 to the inside. That's for the 8th position. Jonathan Osin in 10th. Going to give a little momentum push to the 4. Could he make it 3 wide?
I think he'll think better of that. He's going to jump right back ahead of Drew Jua. He'll let Hearn and Bell go into 3 side by side and pick off whichever one is the weak lane. It's going to be the top this stage of the race. We have seen the top be an okay place to defend. And Oates has got to be cautious because he's got Jua and Peyton Howell right in behind him, and they're also battling for position. Look at the run that Oates got on the high side, though.
Yeah, you got a great run off the corner, and that's really, again, you can't make that outside work. It's really tricky to do so. You see them screaming past the yard of bricks, 190 plus miles an hour into turn 1. So Oates will get the spot. Cameron Hearn back to 10th. Drew on the outside lane. Didn't quite work for him. Here comes Peyton Howell trotting up on the inside.
Yeah, I think he hit the wall before going into turn 1. That was really awkward from the 13.
Yeah, it's easy to scrape here, especially because you're kind of focused on what's ahead of you as far as the cars, and it's easy to make that mistake. David Weishart goes by Matheson, who drops to 3rd place. Is there some conserving perhaps going on in that 54 camp, Finney?
Well, we did highlight that he was saving fuel on the opening run, and I think some of you guys are feeling there's a small chance they can make it. You're burning up about half a gallon a lap here and there, and that's if you're pushing. You might be able to save some more if you keep it in 5th gear the entire lap, because they are going to be shifting through the corners, so some drivers may be doing it, some drivers may not be doing it, just to conserve a little bit of extra gas, and especially if you're running in the slipstream, you're saving even more gas. So, you'll be able to make it about 40 laps on a tank. It's cutting it close, but, throw a caution here or there in. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. Look at Peyton Howell trying to make a move on Cameron Hearn, trying to seal the deal off turn 2, and he'll almost put him in the wall, but he'll get it done.
Peyton Howell on the move inside the top 10, and also a driver on the move. He's up to 2nd now. David Weishart started back in 5th. I think he was as low as 6th at one point, but mentioned the hometown native. He won the pole here last year, led the most laps, didn't get the win, and pretty sure that's been lurking on the mind for him, especially this season. Only top 10 finish was at Daytona, so about a long time back for David Weishart, and get a good run through the front stretch, but not sure if it'll be enough to make a move for the lead.
It would be massive for the Indiana boy to take home a home victory here. And of the professionals that I know in motor racing that are born and raised in the Indianapolis area, they treat this place like they were birthed on the bricks. I mean, it is it is your entire personality if you were born and raised in Indianapolis.
See, look at it.
Well, I think there's racetracks outside of Indy, but I understand how special it is for those that were raised here. And I think for Weishart, this is probably his Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, you got a front of the drivers from Indiana, or at least the club is Indiana. David Weishart, Blaise McKinney, Bryce Senezek, Garrett Grant. So all of them looking to see if they can perform well here. And of course, David Weishart up in 2nd, one of the highest running of those.
Thought about it, but the 07 Acaba is going to tuck back in. That 87, is that a Paul Menard throwback scheme?
Looks like it is, which might bode well.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did win last year, and Menard, only win was at the Yard of Bricks, so
and
a little momentum push for him.
It's looking like it might be a fuel mileage race as well. So,
oh boy,
the stars are aligning. The script is getting written.
He's going to save an extra couple laps with that Menard scheme on.
Man, I think he wrote the script this week. we pass it around. Drivers get to write one a season.
I think he wrote it last year.
Well, he's the highest bidder, I guess. Laps clicking away here. Some lap traffic. That's Emerson Arden right up the road, but 13 laps complete. And now Curhan continues to lead this race, but Weishart was really strong off of turn 2. Just biding his time for now. Nick Silver and Ed Scherer Jr. side by side into 1, and Silver completes the pass.
Yeah, actually, they're going to come on the lap traffic pretty quickly here for Arden. Arden struggling a little bit. Actually, I think had to come down pit road twice. I think he got a black flag serving his initial black flag. So for insult to injury, he had to come down a second time. He just got passed to be put 2 laps down as the leaders work on by him. But Weishart, interestingly, not deciding like he's going to be conserving compared to Matheson. Looks like he's charging and he wants to lead. We look at it, Cheer Jr. in 17. There is Greg Mitchell in behind him in 20th in the number 2 machine. Trying to work through some traffic, but you can see most of the field pretty much single file at the moment. See that is one car, yellow car out of line. That's Cameron Hearn letting Jake Nichols on by.
That's outside the top 10. Nickel still trying to make his way through. He's up to 11th now, so just creeping on the door of the top 10. And Weishart still creeping on the bumper of Curran, but not making a move just yet.
Onto the backstretch now. Curhan is leading, but I feel like it's fleeting right now. That 33, I think, is quicker. How much tire do you want to burn up to try to make this pass, or is Weishart being wise to sit in behind and save some fuel, as you guys alluded to earlier?
Well, the thing is, like I was saying, I don't think he really is saving fuel, because I think he would be hanging a little bit further back compared, like if you look at where Jake Matheson is in comparison to these two, and you're right up behind someone, especially at a track like this, you know, you're really not going to be able to save much. You're really going to be forcing that car to rotate because of the dirty area. You're going to have to use the mechanical grip to overcome the lack of aerodynamic grip. But if you look at Matheson leaving just a little bit of a gap to make the corner more, you see a cutoff there. That's Nick Silver in the 99 getting past. That's Seth Knoll, the one doing the passing, up to 17th.
And you saw there in the close-up the sticker on the left side of the 33, the left front. That's a Swan Motorsports sticker. They're currently last in the team standings, and at the end of the season, whoever's last in the team standings, they lose their charter. So gonna need a solid run. They're only about 20 points behind Tank Racing, who sits 8th in the team standings right now. So it's a big race overall for driver side of things and team side of things. And Weishart's actually taking the lead as I was taking the time to look at that. So the Indiana native takes the lead here early.
Yeah, snuck by Curhan there. Again, Curhan didn't protest it. And you see this all the time, even in the open wheel races, Finian, that you have a lot of side-by-side battles where everyone's okay to concede, but you get to lap 83, 84, 85, and all of a sudden you start running off into the corner, door to door. You haven't done the whole race because you spent so long kind of giving up the position when you felt like you could.
Yeah, and I think really what we're seeing, especially for a lot of these guys, there really isn't much of a point in pushing so hard this early on. We have that again. We have a pit stop looming in the distance. The drivers still have to make at least one more stop before the end of the race. So why push yourself so hard early on when you know you're going to have to come into the pit road? It's better off just kind of waiting, managing it out. And if you're a driver like Jake Matheson, might have a chance of making it, or even for the drivers further down the order, drivers like Philip Groner that came into top of on fuel, they're looking a little bit better to try to make it in on fuel because they're all still running in the pack. They're only a handful of seconds behind the leaders. Everyone's still very much close together. You've got 33 cars within 10 seconds of one another, so it's not really a whole lot of pushing. A couple drivers pushing here and there, trying to make their way up through the order, like Seth Nolan just made a pass on Reese Schaefer in a turn one.
Oh, Travis Beckner quite a bit of ways back from everyone else. Not sure what happened here.
He had a silver black flag. He's one with Arden.
Okay.
Yeah, so down a long ways back, but he ran a lap time that was actually quicker than the leader last time around. That was impressive on his own right, but he's crossing the Arden bricks while the others are in the middle of turn 3. I really like what Matheson and Okresic are doing, and even Scioli lingering back there in that number 7, quietly lurking. We know he's a long-run driver, Finney, and he's already thinking about that strategy.
Oh, he definitely is. I'm sure all the Solar Flare guys are communicating with one another, giving out numbers, trying to figure out the best way to save some fuel, and if they're all hitting their targets. Because, again, if you can really cut out that extra pit stop, you're saving a huge amount of time. You know, maybe a couple seconds at the racetrack could be worth, 10, 20, 30 seconds when it's all said and done. Jonathan Oates has made a pass up to 8 for him, so he's worked his way up through the order a little bit. Jake Nichols just cracked inside the top 10, trying to get past Matthew Bell. And there's Connor Horn. Green, that reflective paint is almost blinding me as he comes past by the camera. Up to 22nd, he's been on a slow climb forward. He's definitely not been saving fuel.
No, he was one of the ones that pitted, so he has a little more fuel than the rest of the drivers in the field, a little more than the 17 of Ed Shearer Jr., the 97 of Reese Schaefer. This is just outside the top 15. I want to say this is right around 18th, 19th on the racetrack.
You got it.
Yeah, those two are going at it, and even behind them, the two of Mitchell going to look underneath Schaefer for 19th.
On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see who has pit and who has not. And again, for most of those, it was just a fuel stop, just to prolong their green flag stop, as Okresic really tight to Matheson, close enough to get the margin under a tenth of a second. Having some issues with his connectivity tonight. All the while, Weishart is beginning to grow a gap out to Curhan. I don't know if this is on his own accord or if because Michael feels like he should be backing things down a little.
I think a little bit of both. I think he's trying to build up that gap again, find that sweet zone. You don't need to be tucked up right behind the driver in front of you. I think he's just trying to find that sweet zone where you can kind of keep the draft going, where you can save a little bit of gas here and there and not completely push it, while at the same time keeping the tires preserved. The tires don't wear a whole lot here, but they're definitely going to hurt later on, especially if you're going to be pushing the fuel limit on these cars. Look at Matthew Bell, and then further back here, some more side-by-side action. I think that's Andrew Payne in the middle of that. Greg Mitchell trying to get past, and Douglas Newbigging to the inside.
And Newbigging just cracking the top 20, and Connor Horns joining in on the mix as he's getting closer to the bumper of Andrew Payne. That last time by, it was about same laps for David Weishart, Michael Curran, 53.60 compared to a 53.63. Actually, third place Jake Matheson was faster than with a 53.57 as Newbigging looks to keep Andrew Payne at bay.
Struggling a little bit with the pace in that car, just hasn't really gone much of anywhere. Look at this, Cabot to the inside of Scioli. He knocked the door open before seeing if anyone was home there. It wasn't. He just drove in there in turn 3, Vane.
Yeah, I think he's trying to take advantage of the 7 being offline as Blaze McKinney was working his way on through. So thought he could take advantage of the situation, could not. Whoa, aggressive pullout by the 54, Matheson, who lets a Kresick on by. Interesting.
Trying to hit his numbers, I bet.
And cut the engine off as well.
Yeah, there's numbers being calculated in that cockpit, I think.
Get your calculators out. The other crew chief, get him out. There's only 3 drivers with crew chiefs that I can see: Matthew Bell, Garrett Grant, and Jackson Anderson.
Spaced out racing here. It's still mostly single file as guys are just trying to log laps. You mentioned there's guys that are saving fuel within, that being the 54 Matheson, letting the 14 go. Long strategy play there, and that 73 creeping in. He's on the bumper of Oates for 9th, and really the top 10 you could throw under a blanket within 2 seconds of each other. McKinney getting out near the wall, and it looked like Oates might have tapped it.
We're really in the clicking off laps phase of this race, and it could go for a long time. Go for another 40 minutes or so. Just clicking away laps. Ricky Springer past Peyton Howell here, trying to strategize to get himself in behind Matthew Bell. Used a lot of grip, though, didn't he? Slid up the racetrack. Howell offline there in the marbles. That won't be grippy out there anymore.
No, really well, and that's something you got to really consider now. We got some decent amount of green flag laps underway. Got to keep an eye on the marbles, keep an eye on where the grip is, because if you send it into the corner, might not have enough grip to lean on it. If you're offline, even by just a little bit. See 73 Nichols out there trying to make something work to the outside of Oates. Oates actually trying to look to the inside of Adam Cabot. Gonna throw it into turn 4 and pretty much slide up in front of the 07. Gets it done. Fantastic move from Oates.
Nichols gonna stick his nose underneath the 07. Not gonna be enough to at least have a chance to get around him, so I'll have to tuck back and line it. But I've seen some guys try to use that second lane somewhat to their advantage. A couple laps ago, saw the 45 do that before making a move on the 07, and up in front of him, the 7 of Scioli trying to get around the 54 Matheson, who let Blaze McKinney go, so McKinney up to 4th.
At 87, I'd be a little worried letting him get too far up to the front, knowing the past and how things worked out. So he's putting himself in the position he wants to be in. Now David Weishart leads this race comfortably. And we've seen this before, though, and it didn't pan out the way that Weishart wanted.
No, it didn't. I think he's going to be hoping that things are a little bit different, but the way he's pushing, he's going to might have to pit twice in a row, because he's really pushing out there, and quite a few of these guys up here are pushing. Blaze McKinney, one of them, Michael Curran, another one, but Jake Matheson really the most aggressive saving. Actually, I think is letting James Scioli on by on the front straightaway. There he will go. So he's willing to let people get on by him if it means he hits his fuel numbers. So interesting dichotomy we're seeing with some of the drivers. I'm seeing some of them in 4th in the middle, then a little short shoe here between the turns. Some of them in 5th. Jake Matheson clutching it in as well with the engine off.
Yeah, Matheson just saving fuel, letting everybody go. If you want to go by, go ahead. And that's what everyone's doing. Saw happen with Curran, O'Kresick, McKinney, Scioli. Now Jonathan Oates is the next one in line, moves up to 6th. Wouldn't be surprised if he lets Adam Cabot go in the front stretch if he gets a good enough run, but he's got Nichols on his bumper.
Yeah, that is what I would call significant saving. And this race, if I recall, was extended 5 laps from last year to sort of avoid this scenario. But 5 laps is like within the window that you'd like try it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's what the 54 is trying to do, is just play a strategy and just kind of negate the lap additions from last season.
Plus, remember, we have the caution as well. And I think that made it a lot more viable, this strategy, to try to save fuel.
Yeah, well, that was almost 5 laps worth. We restarted on lap 5.
Yeah, so for Matheson, I think he's going to be looking to try to get to maybe around lap 45, 44, 45. I think within that range, he'll be able to make it. So that's going to be, I think, the window he's going for. Everyone else, I think, is going to have to come in close to lap 40. But we'll see how aggressive they've been saving. If anyone else has also been doing so. I mean, Matheson's the most high-profile one I can see at the moment. Everyone else seems to be continuing at a decent pace.
Pit stop, Cameron Hearn. And going to drag Greg Mitchell with him as well.
Okay, so they're just deciding to throw it out the window, Fazekas Motorsports. They're going to cut this into thirds, it seems.
That's a risky haul, I think.
It is risky, but I mean, hey, I guess they're feeling like they need to throw something on the wall and hope that it sticks. And for Greg Mitchell, he's in a situation, he's 16th in points, so he needs a win. So I guess he's in a position he's saying, might as well. What's the worst that can happen? James Scally making a move on Blaze McKinney on the back straightaway into turn 3. Going to try to keep it there. McKinney keeping him tight in turn 3, but he's going to check up under the wall, and Scally still keeping him honest.
Yeah, Scioli's actually looking for a win himself on the season. Hasn't won yet. His best finish was second at Sonoma. McKinney going to get near the wall, and I think Scioli's just going to, well, he's still fighting. I thought he was going to get back in line. Connor Horn in the background makes a pit stop, and the 7 will have a look to the inside of McKinney once again, and he's just going to let Scioli have the spot.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting dynamic here as everyone's sort of conceding and giving away, and it's like, no, sir, after you. And I think we're going to run into that. And that's maybe why those other Fords decided to come on down. They don't want to play this game. They just want to go race the race. They want to race the game and and see if their strategy just on raw pace can overcome those giving up, half a second to a second a lap.
Yeah, and Connor Horton notably coming in. And I think, if you're going to try to push on the strategy that, if you're coming in making that extra stop, you need to make it out there on the racetrack. You need to push. So I think for Connor Horn, he might be able to do so in that 42. Greg Mitchell also might be, and Cameron Hearn. They roll all 3 of those cars having decent days. And there's David Weishart, not too surprised by this, considering the pace he was running.
And Seth Knoll making a pit stop behind as well. So those lead cycles back to the 24 of Curran, who's looking to defend his Cup championship from a season ago, in which consistency is what led him to the promised land. He's only got 1 top 5 on the year so far, but 7 top 10s, and that's what led him into the opportunity to be a champion, and did so last year at Chicago. Lando Kresick still looking to knock for his first win of the season.
Other notable driver on pit road, Seth Knoll, coming down as well. So he's come in, and everyone, it seems, taking 4 tires as well. The drivers coming in early. They're want 4 fresh Goodyears on their car, and Kresick trying to use his Goodyears to make it around Michael Curran in the 24.
Oh boy!
I think he's making a pit stop. Yep,
he might as well with how off he was. And how about a couple more? Blaze McKinney, Scioli. There is Nichols in the background as well. Another white car back there. Can't quite tell.
Payne Howell, Reese Schaefer, they're all coming in making pit stops. One by one, Kyle. These guys are coming off turn 4. Ben Pierce as well, starting to get their pit stops in.
Have to rename Blaze to Smoke, because that's what he did to his tires down there. But Tony Stewart had already stolen that one, and he was good at the Brickyard as well. Lap 30. Kresick, Oates, Matheson, Cabot, Bell, your top 5 now, and this is the revolving door of the strategy component.
Blaze McKinney went through his stall. That's going to cost him.
Oh, that'll be a big one, too. Back position so hard to gain here.
Blades.
Oh, boy. I really want to believe that that's his real name, and that's on his birth certificate.
What, Blaze?
That's so cool. That'd be so cool if that was true.
Oh, Adam Cabot's making a pit stop. That was close with him and Ada Bell. He's going to lock it up trying to get in.
Yeah, actually, Bell almost ran over him entering or exiting off of turn 4. Cabot able to make it on down. No speeding penalties from anyone so far, but a couple of mistakes on pit lane for some drivers.
I think you just jinxed everybody that's about to come to pit lane, so that's your fault now.
There's the 87 of McKinney coming out, and I don't think this gets talked about enough because it usually happens at Pocono, but this track is so big that you can make a pit stop, have a mistake like McKinney did. He overslid his box and stayed in it for a couple extra seconds. He's still on the lead lap.
Well, that's the thing about Indianapolis is you can get a pit stop done and not lose a lap if you're within a certain amount to the leader. But that doesn't mean that it's not a big risk if you make a mistake or have a penalty, because this pit lane is so long and slow that the penalties here can cost you a ton. And there's not really a lot of opportunity to bring out yellows when you get the field strung out. So if you have a bad day, it just compounds itself horribly.
Because you said the word yellow, I think we're going to have one about approximately 3 laps.
If you get the jinx people, I do too, Finney. You can't have it all to yourself, right?
I am really hoping that this does see itself out, because I really want to see if Matheson can pull off the fuel mileage.
Him, Kresick, Oates, they still have yet to pit, as well as the first 12 cars, the last one being Kukari. They have yet to make at least a pit stop. Well, actually, the first 10, I should say. Bondurant is 11th. He pitted under that first yellow.
Oh, it's really pushed into turn 3. You see that, Finney just shot straight up the racetrack. And that's usually an indicator that you've got a tire that's really low, but that wouldn't be the case on these next-gen cars because they don't really wear the tires out that much. But he is pushing. This quartet is stacked up into turn 1.
Yeah, they're really pushing all of them at the moment. Trying to look and see where the leaders are coming out with their lap times. David Weiser ran at 52.9 last time by. Connor Kresick 54.4.
Yeah, and we saw it there through 1 and 2. Matheson slid up a bit, Bell slid up as well. Drew Jua and Ricky Springer, they're also starting to slide a little bit more. 33 laps on these tires. So tire wear is playing a factor on this aged surface, but not sure when these guys are going to come in and pit to replace those tires.
Yeah, I mean, we always see more tire wear here than we do at other tracks with this car.
And Kresick and Oates.
Here come the leaders.
Ooh.
I think he got it, though.
It looks like he did. Don't see a penalty at the moment.
Looking away at laps.
And that leaves Matheson out as the leader, and I don't think he really wants to be the leader at the moment.
No,
you might want Drew to get in front of him and use someone he can kind of slipstream off of.
Needs a box truck to
there
follow.
Goes. Yeah. You go by. Off you go. Don't mind me. Saving some gas.
See, the top 10 drivers still have yet to pit, and then so do the next 7. So total of 17 still owe us a pit stop here, at least. This just feels like a really big stretch, though, doesn't it?
I mean, it's worth a shot. He's locked in. What does he have to lose?
It's not bad, especially with the tire fall off being about 1.5, 1.6 seconds. That does take an effect on the long run.
But it is a long lap. So that's a lot to make up for.
You're on throttle so much. It does help that you have to slow down. So you get a little bit of braking, but these cars have enough cornering ability that not really, and the brakes are so good that you don't have to spend that long on them. Ricky Springer following these front 2. Ricky's got one of our onboards tonight. We haven't checked in with him. Here he is, chasing Matheson and Jua for the top spot.
Say chasing, but I don't know if he's really going to put much of a threat up. I think he might. I want to say he's in the same boat. Oh, never mind. I think I just heard him announce on the radio that he's going to be coming in this time by. Because it did look like that Springer was pushing hard earlier on, so I didn't really think he was saving enough fuel.
Bailey Turner feels like Superman right now. Whoa! To the inside of Matheson. Excuse me, pardon me, coming through.
I was like, Superman almost decked him out. As he was coming through the corner.
He is 30 seconds, so he's fine to get back on the lead lap through the rest of the cars that have yet to pit. He'll get his lap back now. And there we see, I believe that is that Brett Kukari that's also coming up? Or no, that's Garrett Grant.
Yeah, Garrett Grant, the 5. And here comes the cars down to pit lane. Jackson
Springer's not coming in. No. He had a wiggle off turn 4 and wasn't quite in the position to slow down. I believe he had Ben Pierce behind him as well, which didn't help anything at all.
Connor Horn's in a pretty good position, I'd say. He is about what is he, about second and a half behind Michael Curhan, Finian?
Yeah.
And he's the fourth driver in the two-stop strategy team.
Well, he definitely needed to do something because he was really hurting in the traffic. He stalled out around 20th position, so he needed to come in early, I think, to get that fresh air, use the fresh tires for a little bit. He's only about a lap or two off of everyone else in the group that he's in, so he's in pretty good company, and I think that really helped him a lot, gave him some good track position. He's essentially in with the leaders. And again, it's just a matter of, can these guys catch up to Jake Matheson, or will Matheson not be able to save enough fuel? Big question mark for the rest of this race. Should it remain green?
This is interesting. The lap cars mixing it up with the leaders, trying to get their lap back. Ben Pierce, another one to the inside of Drew Jua. Matheson, don't know if he'll take the lead back, but that 13 definitely sliding. The 54 definitely getting wider through the turn. Ricky Springer still has yet to pit.
A little congested out here with everyone on sort of different strategies. This is when I'd be a little worried if I'm on that single pit stop strategy, Finian, because with all the different speeds and paces and how sendy some of these drivers are getting, see the 81 getting way out of the way, I'd be worried that this is your highest potential for a yellow is right about now.
Well, I mean, if a yellow comes out now, I think everyone's going to be back down the pit road anyway. So I guess he's kind of feeling at this point, it is what it is.
Yeah, this is right around when the first yellow came out in last year's race when it was 80 laps, right at the halfway point.
Sherrod Jr. had the clutch in, and then he let it go right as he turned in, and the drive line did not like that. Sent him sideways at 185 miles an hour.
It's an art, trying to fuel saving it, time it right.
It sure is.
It go a little bit of a bump to Ricky Springer.
Can't be reckless with the pedals, right? I mean, they do stuff, and so when you put sharp inputs, even if it's on the clutch pedal, it's got to be conscious of what physically is actually going on. You're reconnecting the drivetrain to your engine at neutral going into turn 1 at 190. And
please say that on the 8-hour broadcast. They have pedals, they do stuff.
Yeah, they do. They won't be doing any silly things like clutching to save fuel, though. They'll just turn a switch and just change the map. I'm actually surprised NASCAR hasn't implemented by now, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's, I mean, then again, you're talking about the series that didn't adopt fuel injection until, 13 years ago?
Yeah. A couple little groups, smatterings of cars around the course. Paired up. You don't want to be by yourself. You don't want to be with a group that you don't belong in. And I think you made a good point about Connor, but I think what is so powerful about Connor's position is that, yeah, he's 4th or 5th in line of that strategy. That's great and dandy. If that strategy is the prevailing strategy, he might be 4th or 5th in the race. And how many positions would that have been gained? About 10 or 15 from where he was.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think no matter what happens, really, I think just him getting in that clean area, able to utilize the tires, I think that bought him quite a few spots. So either way, it's going to be a net gain for him, even if he had to come in just a little bit earlier than he probably otherwise would have liked compared to the rest of the drivers he was running with. But lap 40, now lap 41. Brent Pugari lights it up down on pit lane. And Ricky Springer engaging the clutch. He's starting to save some more fuel, but I'd be surprised if Springer is able to make it, considering how aggressive he's running earlier on. Even Drew Jua, for that matter.
Yeah, Drew Jua 54.8 that last time by as he continues to blink in and out. David Weishart, the furthest one with fresher tires, 53.29 that last time by. So still about 1.6 seconds separating the guys on tire wear as Weishart's 12 laps in on his run.
Clicking laps away, closing in on the halfway point of this race. This is a long one as far as the distance we're covering tonight. Ricky Springer finally peels off and heads for pit lane.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised he continued out as long as he did if he had to come in this early, because he's definitely not going to be able to make it.
It's just whoosh by the camera that time. Everybody in this front group. You don't want to necessarily be in the hyper fuel save mode now, though. If you wanted to make this strategy work, you probably should have been doing this from the start, which I think Jake Matheson was.
He has been, that's the thing. So if he's been doing it, everyone else, I don't think really the rest of them can. I think Matheson's probably got the best shot. But honestly, looking at the lap times, or the gap, I should say, David Weishart, he's caught up now 20 seconds behind the leaders. So It is not looking particularly good on the strategy as Drew gets sideways in turn 3.
Yeah, these guys have yet to pit. If they make it through this lap, they should be good to go on the fuel for the rest of it. But then again, some of those guys did save fuel under that first yellow. And this is if we go green to the end. Like, who knows how much fuel Matheson saved under that first yellow?
Right.
Yeah,
You gotta go
they're
as long as
save
a lot.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to save a lot.
He has no incentive to pass the 13 either. You see him.
He might want to. I think he looks like he kind of wants to get past him, but it'll cost more fuel to do it. So he's in a predicament. Do I pass him and burn more fuel or not? There he goes.
Go.
I'm sick of you.
Whoa.
Yeah, especially with him blinking in and out, that's got to be really distracting for him.
Yeah, it definitely does not help.
And there goes all his fuel savings.
Yeah. And these cars really stink when they're not following another car. The fuel economy of a sperm whale.
That's an interesting fuel economy.
0. And here comes Jake Matheson to pit lane, lap 43.
Oh, look out! Whoa, the 13's going to slide right next to him. Unbelievable that they didn't collide with each other. So him passing the 13 almost ruined his race.
So that's interesting because that was just halfway. That was with the yellow, Finian. So he's going to have more to do on the back half of this. He can do it, but it's going to require a lot. And he was already doing a lot.
Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe it's probably not going to work out for them. But, hey, it's worth a shot. We'll see. The race is still young. So as Matheson up, he overshot his box.
Oh, boy. He's got to use fuel to get back in reverse, too.
Douglas Newbingen's still out there. He's still the leader, actually, of the race.
Yeah, so this is interesting because anyone that goes longer than the 54 did, I think, is in a better position, and Newbingen certainly is.
Yeah, here he comes. Because ideally, they want to be in a position where they don't have to fuel save as much the second run, because they're not going to be really in traffic. They're going to be kind of out on their own, and they're going to want to be in a position where they kind of should be able to push. But I don't know.
That's a good point.
Big question mark.
No, you bring up a really good point, Finian, because that's what the 54 did the entire first run. Is not only did he save heavily, he followed cars the entire time. And if he doesn't do that, then he's going to burn more fuel, which means he wouldn't be able to make it. So he has to follow cars ahead of him. I don't think he has a choice.
Well, he is back out in traffic there. You're riding on board with him. Currently in 30th, and he's back to fuel saving again immediately as he gets back out on the racetrack.
That was my ultimate strategy in some of these racing games in the early going, because I would suck so bad at racing, but I'd learn how to save fuel. So that's usually what I would do, and especially at a track like Indianapolis, I saved quite a bit of fuel. So
I'm not good at driving, but I'm good at math.
I am.
So you're Brad Kislow. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Philip Groner down to pit lane. Seth Berger is going to pass him, take the lead at least momentarily, because David Weishart is quickly approaching. Berger has 42 laps on his tires. Weishart just 17, but 33, and everybody else behind owes his pit stop still.
Yeah, so Philip Groner, actually notably, he was one of the drivers that, remember, came in on the caution, so they gassed up a little bit more. So he was able to go a little bit extra. So Groner actually looking like he might be in a decent spot. That being said, he was quite a bit ways behind where Matheson is, so he's going to be losing out in that respect as 33 Weiser continues onward. He's not worried about fuel saving. He's just gassing it till the end. Full throttle, full beans. Seth Berger, he's sitting there. He's going to be coming in, I think, in the next lap or two. As the fuel works around him, Michael Curran and James Cowley.
These guys running solid inside the top 5, and Skyler's still looking for his first win. The 24, big wiggle off turn 4.
Dragged the quarter panel against the wall and threw some sparks in the air there for a bit. Nichols past Berger. This is really going to be the pinnacle strategy race of the season, and you look at what we've got left on the calendar. We've got just Talladega next week. You are trying to position yourself to make the playoffs. So for some drivers, either of these strategies feels like an extreme. You have to push really hard on the 2-stop, and you have to pull way back on the 1-stop, Finian. This is as hard as it's going to get to kind of plan the outcome of your race. Now, you can do it. I mean, no one's going to stop you. No one's going to wreck you like maybe next week at Talladega, but you have to get this right. You don't get a second chance.
No, you really don't. And for quite a few of the drivers outside the top 12 who are not locked in, at least on points, they're not particularly performing well. I'm trying to look and scan through the order, and quite a few of them are not near the front of the order, or at least we're close to David Weishart as now the field finally cycles itself out. So they're going to have to really kind of step it up. We're just kind of hope and pray that a caution comes out to reset things.
Yeah, hope and pray is pretty much what they're going to have to do in order to turn this race upside down. And 33 of Weishart, not sure what he would prefer. I think he would prefer a caution because then everyone would come down, be good to go for the rest of the way. But that's if we get another yellow and then it stays caution free. But for now, he's going to have to ride this one out until he has to make a pit stop, which I'm not sure when that could happen because we're within the fuel window where you pit now, you're good to go the rest of the way, but he's not going to want to pit now from the lead.
Hey, Hunter, which of the teams has been the most successful this season?
Well, obviously, Solar Flare Racing's been a top.
Now,
check
a
the points
look
chart
at James Scioli creeping into second, not too far back. Jake Nichols in the 73, not too far behind that. You'll find the one of Seth Knoll. The cream is rising to the top here in this strategy, which if you're taking Vegas bets on which strategy is going to work, and you look at the team points and you look at where Solar Flare is and how hard they're charging now, I think I know which one might be the prevailing strategy just based on statistics alone.
Yeah, I was going to say it's no secret that Solar Flare has been performing amazing this season. 7 wins to their name with 5 for Seth Knoll, 2 for Jake Nichols, and James Scully. No wins for him, but he's sitting high up in the points in 4th. So fantastic performance for 3 of those drivers at that camp. Scully looking to see if he can get his first win, but he's going to look like he has to fight David Weishart. And for Weishart, all he wants to do is just win this race. Points be damned. He just wants to get a win in that column for the 33. He's going to fight tooth and nail, especially at a place like Indianapolis, which if he can win this, his victory is going to be special for him.
Yeah, Weishart's 26th in points right now, but you got to go back to his last win over a full calendar year, almost 2 at this point. It's the Daytona. Well, actually, no, that was second. It was New Hampshire. When we went to New Hampshire, I'm not sure when that happened, but it did happen.
We were in New Hampshire?
January 2nd, 2023. That was the last time he went to Victory Lane in the Cup Series.
Wow, we've been doing this a long time, huh?
Yeah, we have been.
Gosh.
Quite a while.
Jake Matheson running 19th right now, running lap times that are about a half second quicker than David Weishart. You wonder. Right on board. Wonder no longer. Clutch in, engine off.
And he is actually making inroads. The gap is decreasing. So he was around, I think he came back on the track around 25 seconds back from the leaders. He's got that down to 22 with his fuel saving. He's not been pushing it too hard. So he's been making up some ground, which is crucial for him because when these guys come in for their next pit stop in, I want to say in about 5 to 10 laps, they're going to be pushing all the way to the end. He's still going to have to save.
That's the piece that I think I'm the most concerned about for the one-stoppers is just you're not going to be in a position to attack. I think you might need to be with how tight this will play out. Under 35 laps to go. And about 30 minutes of racing remaining. Things start to wind down here pretty shortly. We'll expect our final stops here next 10 laps or so, Hunter?
Yeah, I would say so because they're going to be 33, 32 laps in on their run. And you don't want to run it all the way to the end because then you want to give yourself enough time to at least fight through the field and do all sorts of stuff, but you don't want to give yourself too little time where it's not going to matter.
Down the back straightaway here. Starting to weave around a little bit, looking a lot more like an Indy 500 than a Brickyard 400 at the moment. Strategy. Wow, how about this? An unbroken green flag run, Finian. What a concept that would be in a modern NASCAR race.
Yeah, unfathomable. I can feel my attention span decreasing. Must change channel.
Bristol was proof that stage
must
yellows
open
don't
phone,
make races
must go to
good.
TikTok.
Here comes Scioli, though, with the run, and I think Weishart's feeling the pressure here. And because these guys aren't saddled by the fuel economy, they are free to race. So this is a battle for the race lead, and it could be for the win.
It definitely can be. I'm just curious, again, these drivers are going to have to make that one more stop. So, some of them fight it hard, maybe try to let it go, and come in a little bit early, come in a little bit later. That's going to be the big question is coming to the end, overcut versus undercut. And typically, we've seen the overcut work out. Of course, you have to time it. You can't pit too late because you need enough laps to make it up with the fresher tire. That being said, though, passing does come at a premium at this track, so might possibly be worth through the undercut. I mean, we talked with Connor Horn. He came in around 20th. He's still up there. He's still in 7th place and not too far behind the leaders.
Yeah, you don't want to run it all the way to the end. Some guys ran it at 43, 44, 45 laps. That will give you about, inside of 15 to go. Not enough time to utilize your tires, and Cabot's going to take advantage of that.
Scioli through Weishart here down at turn 1. Weishart's trying to fight back. Here comes Curhan. It's a 3-horse battle for the lead. Traffic ahead. Scioli has to lift. Curhan has nowhere to go. Weishart hangs it out sideways at the exit at turn 2, and the battle is on at Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's Travis Beckner. And I think Beckner actually messed up. Weishart, he got a little bit tight in turn 1 that sent him up line. That caused Scioli to take advantage of the situation, but Beckner will let the leaders on through, so that'll be done with.
Yeah, this was a wild sequence of events where it looked like Scioli was going to take the lead, then they had to back out, and everyone slid through here. The 33, the 7, the 24. I think Jake Nicholls was the only one that didn't slide.
Back in the live shot, sorry, Scioli was sliding into turn 4 as Weishart comes to pit road.
Well, that was exciting, and Greg Mitchell's also to pit lane, but Weishart going to make his final stop with 31 laps to go. Is that a little too soon, maybe? He's just trying to build that gap maybe for the back half of the run, knowing that he'll need it, potentially, to defeat the solar flare cars.
I think maybe he's going to try to take advantage of the situation, maybe build himself a gap. So I think that's what I got to imagine is going to be working there. Oh, Michael Curran's got a meatball. I thought I heard him wrong. How did he even... What? What did he hit?
The car looks slow.
He hit the wall? You got to scrape
he does have some damage, yeah. Well, there goes my pick. Dang it, dude.
Oh, I found it. Oh, okay, I see. If you go to lap 54, actually the lap prior, I believe, when we were talking about Weiser coming in and Scioli wrecking loose off the corner. Got to watch the 24, what happened to him here. Scioli getting loose, trying to save him. Michael Curran gets loose as well and smacks it into the wall. So this got a decent amount of damage. So meatball for Michael Curran. That's going to pretty much be any chance of winning for the 24 over.
Not what I needed.
No, I'm happy.
Well, we'll see.
You're looking further down the script?
I'm doing a little Control F and skipping down to the next section. James Scioli, Jake Nicholls, Peyton Howell with a big charge on the brakes into pit lane. Yes, he slowed it down and made all the time he could have.
You got to be careful. Make sure you don't give yourself a black flag. That'll be race ending at this point.
Connor Horn in, Blaze McKinney in as well. Lukrezik's still yet to pit with Ada Bell and a 97 to Reese Schaefer. The leader, Jonathan Oates, still has yet to pit, but a lot of guys on the order going down and some guys staying out and moving up on the board. You know what? This is an interesting spot. Nick Silver, Ed Shearer Jr., I think those guys are good to go the rest of the way. They're going to cut it close if this goes green to the end, but those two are in a really good spot.
They are. How did they end up here?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
I mean, they're on the same strategy as Matheson. How do they get ahead of him?
I think they just passed him.
Oh, because they're not saving as hard, probably.
Yeah, they were behind him coming to the pits, and it looks like I think they might have either gotten a slightly better pit stop, or I think they came in a lap early.
So,
well, now they just pitted.
Well, a couple of drivers pitted at least. The 45, the 8, the 14, they're all on pit road. Going to turn the lead over to Nick Silver and Ed Shearer Jr. So they're basically on the same strategy as Matheson, but they have not been saving as heavily, which might come back to bite them later.
And And Silver came in a lap earlier as well,
Yeah.
so that's going to be against him. So Edward Shearer Jr. is on the same lap. Springer.
Oh boy, look, this is a mess into turn 3. Look at Douglas Newbegin in the 71 shooting the gap there. That was a little congestion for 58 laps into this race.
Yeah, remember, these are some of the drivers that waited quite a while to come on in. Actually, Douglas Newbegin was one of the latest drivers to come in. Of the drivers that stayed out, gets really tight off the corner trying to get past Senizak. So as far as fuel, he's really the best, or one of the best drivers in this group.
A lot of interesting components here as we're in the second half of this race 11 of 17 for the Area Cup Series. Just the penultimate race before the regular season ends. Talladega's next week. It's on the horizon, and it's the ultimate wild card for these guys. But with fuel mileage, it's also another ultimate wild card, as some guys are looking to stick with it, with Nick Silver, Ed Shearer Jr., Ricky Springer, guys needing a win to propel themselves up in the points, and guys like Jake Matheson also just trying to buy time for another win and propel himself with a better advantage for the playoffs.
Battle's still on around the racetrack here, closing in on 25 laps to go. Add some life to the party this summer with Elite Entertainment, located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina. Elite Entertainment provides high-quality band production to entertain at any location, including karaoke, singo, and more. Visit Linktree/Elite Entertainment LLC for all contact information. Silver's leading with this 53.6 lap time last time by, and Matheson was at a 53.7, so he's still giving up time. It's about 2.5 seconds back to the 54. But it's all about the long game here. Another 25 laps. And 2.5 times that in miles. What is that? 60?
Yeah, just about. And Douglas Newbegin, he's caught up to the group with Matheson. He's still up just one car behind. Got Derek Brandt in the middle. And he's on an alternate strategy, so he's blazing on through.
Little mess on the backstretch into turn 3 here. Seth Knoll in the 1. Fresh tires. Hey, they just came back in. Scioli, Knoll, 3 laps ago. Peyton Howell. Well, they're good to the end, and they're going to be charging hard. So Weishart is ahead of Scioli by half a second. Probably not as much as he would have liked to have been. But this is what would cycle. If the other strategy doesn't work out, this is what would cycle to your lead. So now the battle is on here. Weishart's 12th, 22 seconds behind the race leader. He's got to make up all that time in the next 25 laps.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's 2 different battles going on. Of course, the drivers are battling in the group with their strategies. We got the entire top 6, top 7 that are working to save fuel, but they're all racing each other while trying to save fuel. Then you got all the guys back here led by David Weishart. They're pushing. They're also fighting amongst each other as well, but they're also trying to push to make sure they catch the leading group and pass them before the amount of laps run out. So this is where it really gets interesting when you get this kind of fuel mileage, and especially with so many drivers that played on both strategies.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. This is shaping up to be a fun finish, regardless of who wins. As mentioned, the 33 is the leader of those that have recently pitted. Scioli, Nichols, Howell, Knoll as well in that little gaggle of cars, but still Nick Silver 2 seconds in front of Ricky Springer as Jonathan Oates and Adam Cabot look to make their way around next service. Or is that Seth Berger?
That's Seth Berger in the 77, yep. Keep your eyes on the gaps. Back to 12th place in particular when that ticker rotates back around. Now 21.2 seconds. And that gap's going to fluctuate quite a bit because of the different paces that everyone's running. I mean, up front, these guys are chasing a number. They're watching their fuel box a lot more than their relative, Finian, and that's all part of this game.
Really is. And then also the lap times, Stu Weishart is catching them at about 1.2 seconds a lap. At that rate, he's going to get there. But of course, you know, the Weishart's not going to be able to keep that pace forever. Plus, he's got to work on passing them with old tires. And we saw with the traffic how much that can be a factor if you're not prepared for it.
Gets harder as the race goes on. It gets harder as the run goes on. To your point, the tires wear out more, but that's not happening for the leaders. It just sorts to equalize out towards the end. And the thing I'd be worried about is your focus, your battle in the cars out front right now. You know, you can't get too obsessed with lap time, because if you don't make the finish of the race, it doesn't matter what lap times you're running.
Yeah.
Well, Nick Silver, this would be really good for him. His best finish of the season was 9th at Daytona, but he just earned his second top 10 a week ago at Chicagoland. He's up to 13th in the points, so actually 14th in the points, so he's knocking on the door of making the playoffs without a win, but this, if he does pull through and win, this would automatically lock himself into the playoffs.
Onto the front straightaway here. Next time by, 20 laps to go. One of those laps where the math gets easy for a second because the multiplyer's multiple of 10. That helps, especially when you're doing it by yourself. Ricky Springer, we haven't talked a lot about. Tonight he's been in the mix, but quietly lurking here. He's also trying this aggressive strategy. And then Ed Scherer Jr. is not too far back, and then Jake Matheson in the 54, who might be the tell-all because he was the driver that had this concept from the very beginning. And we saw him actively saving fuel on the opening laps of this race.
Yeah, there's also Douglas Jimmy, 2 positions behind him, and an entire lap extra to the gun. That means that I don't know how much Neweg's been pushing trying to catch this group, so that's a bit of a question mark as well. Feel from just as far as when they pit, he's technically in the best position. As you look back here, they're battling, or well, I shouldn't say they're battling, it worked past. Actually, no, they are battling to pass Jeremy Miller. 4th position.
Yeah, that last time through, Weishart was a second quicker than Jake Matheson, who's been saving fuel quite a bit. We'll see what the difference is heading to the line this time. It was a 53.9 again for Matheson. As they come across the stripe, David Weishart, what lap did he run? 53.3, but he was passing traffic, still half second quicker than Matheson, saving fuel.
And he's 18 seconds back now, so that's 4 seconds gained since the last time we talked about it. This is a mess, by the way. Ed Scherer Jr., Jake Matheson, all in behind the 65 of Ben Pierce, who I think is on much fresher tires. Indeed he is, so he's going to go through. And imagine the 5 of Garrett Grant is also in this predicament, so he wants by these cars.
Garrett Grant actually, he's been riding in tow with them. Looks like he's not been able to get on past, and I think he feels comfortable just kind of riding out with this group. Has only made a whole lot of moves. Then in behind them, Bailey Turner is working through the traffic as well. Gets past the 13 of Drew Jua, and now looking up ahead, as Garrett Grant checks up offline.
Yeah, that could have been bad. That was almost a yellow.
Riley Nichols and Peyton Howell in the 52. He started to split the difference of the Solar Flare crew here in the Florida State Builder Chevy. He's got some really good pace, and maybe this is a car that we shouldn't count out. He's 3rd in the championship standings. He has not finished worse than 15th this season.
Oh. No, just he jinxed them now.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what do you see that I don't? I'm giving you the feed.
I'm on the last page of the script. This is not looking good, Peyton Howell.
But this is just a car that maybe we shouldn't just count out because Solar Flare's up here. He has gone toe-to-toe with them this year. He's actually outperforming a couple of them.
I mean, he is hands down been one of the most consistent drivers this season, and not necessarily slowly consistent. He's been pretty quick and consistent as well in the 52, and of course has a win to his name, one at North Wilkesboro, and I see maybe he can add another win before the regular season ends. Fighting up now with Jake Nichols at the moment, then Skyler, then Weishart, the lead of this group. At the moment sitting quietly there. Just heard on the radio, Nick Silver coming in this time by.
Well, that ends the dream there.
Yeah, and that's big too because he was 14th in the standings entering this race, so we'll have to see where he shapes out heading into Talladega, or it could be make or break for the 99.
I'm kind of surprised he took this big of a risk, though. I feel like for him, he might have been in a better position to run kind of with the David Weishart strategy of just pitting in twice.
And I wouldn't be counting on a yellow at any stage in this race just with how this has gone, so I don't think that was a way to something to bank on either. And Springer is in a similar strategy position as are a few others around. So if Nick Silver had 1 lap less fuel than Matheson and had to pit. He knew that with 18 to go. I don't think he was saving from the get-go on that run, probably.
No, it doesn't look like it. I think Springer is definitely not going to be able to make it. He's been pushing pretty strongly here. So he's going to be out there. I think really looking at Edward Sherry Jr., Jake Matheson, Drew, and Douglas Newbing are really going to be the flying carriers for the strategy going forward in this race for the rest of the remainder. No, almost gets Jonathan Oates there. Fighting hard position, battle for 13th.
Yeah, flirting with disaster there. That was a close call for the 1 and the 45 as we'll take a closer look at it and a slower look at it.
I think this is full speed, just really long straightaway. I think they did touch just the slightest bit right, well, that angle.
There's so much in the infield.
Maybe. It was so close if they didn't.
Could fit a piece of paper between them.
Or good. Weishart leads this train. 8th place now, 13 seconds back. 16 laps to go. Finney and the math is looking better for the 33 every revolution around this circuit.
Yeah, the leaders are running a second off as well. They're starting to run slower. It's not really equalizing as much as they would like. So it's looking less and less likely for the 30. Whoa! As I say that, he scraped the wall off in turn 4, David Weiser. So he's definitely pushing hard.
Or is that Groner?
Oh, sorry, Groner. I saw the red on Powell's name for a moment. But Groner on pit lane. 24 laps on his run. And that was less laps than Matheson has by 3. As far as his fuel situation. So that really doesn't bode well. Here comes Knoll back on Peyton Howell here. Little side draft on the quarter panel down the backstretch.
Trying to make a move, take advantage of the side draft, and we'll skate on by. The 52 will let him on by, and Seth Knoll will go to 11th.
Yeah, 54.2 last time from Springer, looking at a 53.5 from Weishart, so definitely starting to see tire wear, but still quicker than those who are trying to save fuel.
Laps clicking down. 13 minutes from now, we're going to know who wins this race. Springer leads. He's got 2 laps more on his fuel tank than Matheson does. That is tough math to make. How much is the 54 lifting and coasting?
A lot. I'll give you the short answer.
He drove in there pretty deep that time. Didn't go on the clutch.
I wonder if he hit his number.
That'd be impressive if he knew it that far out.
I'm sure he probably tried it. He used saving from the start of this race, so I'm sure he kind of had a general idea of what number he needed to hit. Because I was hearing him clutching through a majority of the corner.
That was a pretty big lift down there. So I'm not sure he's totally there yet, but he does feel maybe a bit more comfortable because he's not saving at the max. Weishart and Scioli. This could be the battle for the win if it doesn't work out for those ahead. And they're already battling for a top 10 spot. So these are points on the line, wins on the line, maybe not yet, but it could be that way. And I think the 7's a little quicker.
Oh, he's looking a little bit quicker, but the question is, does he have enough tire left at this point in the run to make a move? Ideally, you would want to make that move a little bit earlier on. And for Weishart, he came in earlier. That was a risk for him to take to try to see if he can maybe bridge out a little bit of a gap, keep the 7 from coming back on him. And so far, so good. It seems to have been working out for him. But of course, he's looking at his mirror right now. He's looking at his relative right now, trying to figure out if he even has the chance of winning this race at the moment, because it is tight. It's going to be close.
Yeah, real close. 54.31 from Springer, 54.65 from Matheson, so a little more fuel saving there for the 54. As Oates and Nichols dual battle into turn 1 that last time by. David Weishart ran a 53.9, Scioli a 53.97. Oates and Nichols are actually quicker than them by a tenth.
I got a little dicey between those two on the front straightaway, cutting it pretty close. And make sure you check out the High Banks podcast. Just 2 blue-collar guys, Nick and Alex, talk about NASCAR and more. Listen to episode 205 with Brad Slaughter and the new episode with Jacob Bell, available on Spotify. Here comes Oates down the inside of Nichols into turn 3. Didn't quite open the door wide enough, but he wants through.
Yeah, and the thing is for Oates, this is going to be kind of a do or die situation for him if he wants to have any run at the championship, because he's currently sitting 21st in the points. And if he can potentially get past David Weishart, and if the leaders can't save enough fuel, he'll be looking at a win. As David Weishart has a poor run off the corner. Here comes Skyley charging to the inside into turn 1.
Well, this could be for the win, and Weishart's going to give it his all in that outside lane, and the 7's going to try and squeeze him off to exit. He'll do just that. 33 still going to give it a shot in the 2, but it's not going to be enough.
Well, if Weishart's got enough tire to turn back underneath him for the exit, throttle up, he does not. So Scioli takes command here down the back straightaway, and he will be the leading charge driver on the 2-stop strategy now. Next time by 10 laps to go. Another car that's creeping into this mixture, running really good times, is Connor Horn in the 42. Slightly fresher tires than some of those ahead, and a drive to get some decent results after a calamity the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's been set back by some EOLs as well, poor qualifying efforts, and not the best of runs. Looking to try to right the ship back forward. Is running still well, 6th in the points, but 0 wins to his names, and he's up there in the running, so I imagine he's going to want to have a shot at going for it. It looks like Jake Nichols is starting to struggle at the moment. Seth Knoll looking to the inside of the 73 after Oates has gotten on by. They continue onwards now. The gap between Scowley and the leaders 11 seconds and dropping.
Here's Philip Groner starting to make his way back towards the front, passing the 51 of Ricky Springer's. Actually, again, his lap back, so he's good on the 11. At least if there's a yellow, he'll have a chance to possibly stay out and get some track position if that is the case. But just 10 to go, going to be 9 at the line. Springer still leads, and Matheson still behind by half a second.
Here is a look at your race leader leaving turn 1 right now. And Scioli entering picture. And here he comes right now. 10.3 seconds last time by. He was 0.8 of a second faster, but it's not necessarily all about the raw pace only. It's also about making it to the end. They might have to slow their pace up to make it.
Well, the thing is that Scott's got to work through some traffic to get out there. It's not clean air all the way to Jake Matheson and Ricky Springer, so there's going to be a couple cars he has to work through, and the lap's starting to wind down. He's 9 seconds and change back, and they're coming to 8 to go this time by. So he had the advantage early in the run, but wasn't quite able to make it up, especially as they're battling amongst themselves back here. So it looks like they might start to run out of laps here. He's definitely going to come down to the wire. It's going to be close as they continue to battle here. Here's Connor Horn trying to make a run on Seth Knoll as a look to the inside.
Yeah, this would be for the. Actually, this wouldn't be for. No, it would be for position. Sorry, this is outside the top 10. This is the 11th door to door between the 42 and the 1.
Swerve in there, 45, walking around the racetrack a little bit. Ricky Springer, 0.3 ahead of Jake Matheson. 7 laps to go this time by. What would it mean for Ricky Springer to pull this off? But that's going to be so tough with the math that we've seen from other drivers in his position. But what would you be holding out for? You know you weren't going to get a yellow with the race panning out like this.
I guess he's hoping that things would get dicey towards the end for some of the drivers, especially in that chasing group at the moment, and just kind of hoping that if someone makes the wrong move,
dicey like caution. This. Look at this mess.
Dicey like that.
45 to the inside of the 73, Finian.
Yeah, 73 making a move to the outside, trying to get the spot back. Oates going to get tight, going to push up the hill, almost into the 73. Now Knoll will go up the inside, get 1, maybe 2, entering off into turn 2.
Trying to get around the boss, the 73 of Jake Nichols. Here comes Connor Horn joining the party. He's going to get beneath the 45, have a strong run on corner exit, but won't have any draft, so he'll have to live to fight another battle and just try to clear the 45, which I think he definitely did.
Peyton Howell up the inside late on the 45. Hunter becomes hunted that quickly. And the laps are clicking down. The intensity's rising. A late race yellow could save a number of these drivers. A green-white checkered would be disaster for others.
Yeah, I think Jake Matheson's looking at all the other 35 or 34 cars, for that matter, on the racetrack right now, saying, don't you do anything stupid. You finish this race under green. He's banking on this race finishing under green. I think if Springer, he's in a situation where he needs the caution to come out. Drew, I think, might be able to save because he's been hanging out in behind the 54. So he's also looking good, like he might have a chance. And actually, Springer calling on the radio. He's coming down this time by.
Oh, wow. Oates had a moment there off turn 2. Here comes Payne Howell, but unfortunate for Ricky Springer. Got to go back to season 4 at Charlotte where he won his last Cup race.
Gosh, with how tight these guys are racing, you're just hoping that Ricky could have been on track maybe one more lap. They are trying to crash each other back here. Springer peels off, turns the lead over to Jake Matheson.
And here comes Drew with the run. It looks like he's trying to go for it here. They're trying to race this out.
Oh, this is not what they need to be doing right now. 5 laps to go, and they're battling for the lead. Jake Matheson would think this is a nightmare right now.
Yeah, he's trying to keep.
Yes?
I thought I was going to finish what I was saying there. Whereas quiet as the engine heading off into the corner.
Yeah, I was going to say this would be big for Drew if he could get the job done. He sits 19th in points, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s on the season, and that would punch his ticket in if he stays inside the top 20.
Speaking of punches.
Yeah, these two are trading blows back here.
Yeah, they might be throwing some after the race, too. Just big sends by the 45 on the bottom of the 52. Payne Howell trying to go the long way around. Oates has just burned up the rears on his car.
And I'll tell you what, guys, at the rate they're going at, Scully's not going to make it to the leader. So effectively, at the moment, it's looking like it's going to be between Matheson, Jua, and even Douglas Newbegin, who's not too terribly far behind.
Look, Matheson still saving fuel. Jua possibly saving fuel as well, but he's applying pressure to the 54, trying to get everything he can, and his playoff ticket might be in the grasp right there.
Man, if Jake Matheson could pull this off, I mean, he was the one that we thought could do it. Jua and Newbegin. Newbegin we kind of knew was doing it too, but Drew Jua in particular has kind of snuck into this mix. He's brought some pace with him. And Ed Scher Jr., how about him in the 17 back here lurking? He could grab a top 5 out of this.
You definitely can. Some good finishes on the table if they can hang out on the fuel. Steadily, his pace has stalled. The tires are starting to give out on him as we hit 3 laps to go.
And Matheson's still ahead by 2 car lengths, and Drew Jua backing off a 10th or so through turn 1. Newbegin almost scraping the wall back there. Does Matheson have enough to clinch another win?
Well, this is like a road course in that if you run out, it is a long way home. So it's not done until he passes the pit entry, probably even further than that, because he's got Jua breathing down his neck. But you could lose 7 seconds in a couple hundred yards in the last corner, depending on for how long you've been completely out. But he will know at this stage how likely it is that he will make it to the end. 2 laps to go, 5 miles worth of fuel. It's under a gallon remaining in the tank for the 54.
87 all the way in the back, but not going to be close enough. It's among the top 3 at the moment right now, really the top 2. As Drew is trying to get anything he can to work with him at the moment. The tires are struggling for grip. And he's trying to see if he can catch 54 as they enter the last lap and a half. Ooh, both of them really close to the wall off of turn 2.
I wonder at one point if you just flip the switch. I mean, you're coming to the white flag. If you're the 13, got to give it everything you got. I don't know if saving fuel is going to be enough now, but still a good gap for Matheson to have.
Andrew Payne gives some strife here to Seth.
He's clutching it at the moment. I think Payne's just about to run out of the fuel. He's just trying to hang on for a decent finish. I hear Everett Shearer Jr. also on the clutch, trying to save it.
Oh.
Well, here we go.
A big moment off 4.
Jake Matheson's going to come across the stripe. White flag. He will not have to battle it in overtime, but it's 2.5 miles back to safety.
It's the big question. Has either one of them gassed it too early? Will they have the chance of running out? I would say Matheson, I want to feel like he did his math right. Both of them are in the wall off of turn 1.
Yeah, through turn 2 and down the backstretch for the final time. Jua about half a second back, and they need to make something up, or has to rely on the 54 running out of fuel. But Kyle, I don't know if that's going to be the case. He's half a lap away from winning.
Well, Jake Matheson found victory lane in Texas earlier this year. It's his only win so far. This one, from the very drop of the green flag, he was queuing up to run this single pit stop strategy. There were so many circumstances that had to come together for him to get this done. He will leave turn number 4 under power. Checkered flag. Jake Matheson is going to do it. He'll win his second race of the Area Cup Series season with just enough in the tank to get there. Jua, Newbegin, Edward Scherer Jr., and Scioli, your top 5.
There we go, battle of the line. Jonathan Oates versus Peyton Howell, and it'll be Oates that'll win out of Howell, with Oates getting 10th, Howell in 11th. But solid job for that top 4, all able to save it till the end.
Yeah, they were able to pull it through, kind of figured that Matheson would as the run went on, but didn't know about the 13 of Jua, the 71 of Newbegin, the 17 of Ed Scherer Jr. Those are big finishes for those guys, especially looking at the point standings. Newbegin going to probably put himself in a better spot at locking a playoff spot. The 17 kind of lost him. Actually, he's probably holding that last playoff spot. And same thing for Drew Jua. Inside the top 20, he's just going to go further up.
How critical are those finishes for those drivers heading into Talladega, of all places? This is not one of those places that you can just miraculously get a 3rd or a 4th, and they managed to do it tonight. Matheson burns it down. Don't do it on the bricks. Bad juju. I can't even show this.
Censor.
Sacred bricks. Don't
demonetize.
Don't beguile I don't know what that means. But anyway, here we go. Here's a look at your race results. Matheson gets it done by half a second over Jua, Newbegin, Scherer Jr., Scioli. David Weishart, the Indiana boy, P6 in the 33 Finian. It slips away again from him.
Yeah, unfortunately, it do look like it was the fuel mileage race that unfortunately he didn't think it was going to end up being, but had a solid run there as well as James Scioli. Then with Seth Knoll, Connor Horn was able to rebound for a solid finish in 8th, Jake Nichols 9th, and Jonathan Oates running out your top 10.
Yeah, then just missing out on that top 10 was Peyton Howell. Andrew Payne as well was able to pull through and finish, but at a cost of dropping outside the top 10. Matthew Bell, Adam Cabot, Reese Schaefer, top 15, and then O'Kresick, Mitchell, Silver, Miller, and Blaze McKinney round out the top 20.
And looking down the rest of the order here, those that didn't quite have things pan out their way. Ricky Springer in the 51 was hoping for a late race caution. He never got it. He comes home 26th. Garrett Grant, P30, the number 5. Ben Pierce down there, bottom half of that as well. Travis Beckner, man, just didn't get it done tonight. 33rd for the 28 car. Curhan, man, that hurts me. Gosh, it is just a feast or famine for me this season, it appears. And,
Win 4 for me, woo!
Yeah, well, anyway, let's talk to our 3rd place finisher, Douglas Newbegin, who comes home P3, fuel mileage finish, and a top 5 in a critical time in the championship season. Douglas, heading into Talladega, how does this make you feel?
We're going Talladega. All right. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty fun. I'm not going to lie. I hate this place. I am not a big fan here. I think I was dead last in practice, got a good qualifying lap, and I was just kind of hoping this race I could just kind of survive, I guess, kind of just pick through the wrecks, but kind of figure out the fuel strategy was going to work with the caution come out, kind of did some calculations, talked over the guys, and we all kind of figured, let's just go with the same strategy. If it works, it works. If don't. So wasn't actually that bad fuel saving wise, at least for me. I had a fun time fuel saving. Was nearly nowhere near as stressed since I was able to go the extra lap. But yeah, I mean, our whole team did great. That is literally exactly what all of us needed there. All great finishes. So that was perfect for us, really. I mean, that was fun.
Well, sets you up for a run next week at Talladega. How do you feel heading into the 2.66 mile super speedway race there, where things are going to look a little different?
I feel pretty good at Talladega, honestly. I feel like we got a lot of points in the playoffs, and I was 11th going into here, like 20 points out, and I think with the 3rd place finish, I'd be shocked if I'm not pretty solid, honestly, just in case a special winner gets in. I feel like I'm good at play tracks too. All my buddies, all my teammates, we feel like we're always up there at the end of super speedways no matter what, so definitely feel really good there. Yeah, I a lot better than what I thought I would feel after the end of the night, I'll tell you that much, so I'm happy.
Douglas Newbegin, P3 tonight in the 71. Douglas, thanks for chatting. We'll see you next week in Alabama.
Yeah, see you next week. Hopefully back up in the booth. First win, come on, I believe.
All right, we'll see you there.
Douglas, sorry, before you go, you're up to 9th in the standings now.
Yeah, dude. See, that easy. Just finish third a bunch. That's all, dude.
That'll help. Thanks, Douglas.
See ya.
Andrew Jua comes home in 2nd place tonight. and had a shot there at Jake Matheson there. Drew, what'd you need? I mean, I know the fuel economy was probably top of mind, but it looked like you had something for the 54.
Yeah, I needed a little bit more help from the lap cars, if I'm being honest. I had to push off some of my stuff that I had saved earlier on to get back to Jake and Ricky. I didn't know. I had a feeling the way Ricky was pushing that he wasn't going to be able to make it. Jake and I were saving pretty hard, and with about 15 to go, I was honestly good to the end there. I was right on the margin, shifting down to fourth, and Gare had a couple mistakes ahead of me, and I ended up having to let him by a couple times, and got separated from Jake about a second, and had to push off my stuff trying to get back up to him. And once I started battling, he had saved up enough to where he was going to be better there at the long run. So did not expect for us to go green, and honestly, I had to save really, really hard the first run at the end of it because I didn't realize everybody was saving. But, you know, we battled through adversity. I was lagging pretty hard tonight, and had to just ride around until final 15, 20 laps. So really needed a win to kind of make the playoffs. Cut line was my teammates, and they finished 3-4. So overall, really, really good night for Lucky Ducks, and happy of a PT finish.
Drew Jua, second place. We'll see you at Talladega, Drew. Good luck.
Yeah, shout out to Meals for Wheels and everything they do, and we'll see you at Talladega.
And Jake Matheson, second win of the season. From the very drop of the green flag, we saw the strategy already at play. And you were kind of the barometer for how well everyone else was going to do with that strategy, whether or not they were saving more or less than you, how hard they were pushing. But you pulled this off, and 85 laps you were working for all 85. Take us through your night tonight and getting your second victory of the season.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that yellow come out on the initial green, I'm like, oh, okay, if I save the whole race, I might be able to make it. And that might just turn out into a success. So I'm happy it worked out. It was definitely a big gamble. If there was a yellow there after that, after the second part of the run, I was definitely, I was done. But it worked out, thankfully. Drew also had a really good run there at the end. I was surprised he could lead as long as he did and make it to the end. So good run for him and Douglas all making it to the end. That was a good race, man. Classic Indy. 2 grooves to work with. Just fun from the start.
Well, next week we head to Talladega. Now, you've got 2 wins. You're in a pretty good position as far as that's concerned, but there are going to be some drivers that are kind of desperate next week. How do you approach a plate race, or I guess a super speedway race nowadays, when you're already sort of locked in? Are you going to push aggressive, or you're willing to take a P5 or P6 and just get a good result rather than go for broke?
Man, I'm just gonna go out there and have fun. It's a plate race, so you're kind of at the mercy of others regardless of what you do, how you go about it. So just gonna go out there, run the race. If it works out, it works out. If I end up in the catch fence, it's all right. We got a new car for next week, so we'll see.
All right, Jake Matheson gets it done here at Indianapolis. Jake, congratulations. Go kiss some virtual bricks.
Thank you, guys. Just real quick, I want to thank Ricky Springer and SRG Esports for everything they do, making this beautiful 911 scheme. I know I'm a little bit past the date, but I'm like, you know what, Matt? I'm gonna just keep running it. So thanks for him to making this up, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you in Alabama, Jake. Thanks. Well, Indianapolis, we had an 84-lap green flag run to the end, 1 yellow flag fitting, and it was all about strategy, but it played out, and it kind of worked for both groups in various ways. It wasn't one dominant over the other, although you could say with the top 4 playing that one-stopper next season, everyone's looking at that to maybe try that again.
Yeah, I was going to say, they really just timed it right. Everything worked out in their favor. Of course, the no caution the rest of the race really was their saving grace. And then, as you mentioned, the leaders, the guys pushing, got so close but yet so far, especially for drivers like Skyley, Weiser, Noel. They were pushing, almost had them at the end, but not quite. But a solid run for everyone at Indianapolis. Always great to see a bunch of strategies work out, the different strategies we see. However, Talladega strategy, throw that out the window because you're not going to need it. It's all going to be about pack management.
It's all going to be about luck for some of those guys, and looking at those that had the finishes that they had, we mentioned Doug Newby. He's up to 9th in the point standings. After that, Ed Sheeran Jr. didn't move at all. Drew Jua is up to 16th in the standings, so if he gets a win next week, he's locked in. He's far enough inside the top 20. Travis Beckner, he's actually fallen outside the playoffs from what I'm seeing. He's minus 2 points now. Ricky Springer, that pit stop late in the going, it did hurt him. He fell 3 spots in the standings. Michael Cran dropped 4 spots in the standings. So if he has another bad result at Talladega, that could push him out of the playoffs entirely. Well, that's the beauty about Talladega, Kyle. You're never safe no matter what until the final lap. And even then, you're not safe then. You got to make it to the start-finish line. That's not even in the tri-oval. It's when you exit the tri-oval.
No, they're the only drivers that are safe. We've already talked about it. There's a lot of drivers next week that just have to go out and try to win the thing. That's what makes Talladega fun. And Indianapolis, what a race. But this race tonight, completely opposite. We saw so much restraint tonight and holding things back. But next week, it's all full throttle, firewalled power as we head to Talladega, Alabama, and the last race of the regular season. But the racing for the rest of the week on Tuesday night. Tomorrow, it's North Wilkesboro with the Truck Series. Same on Thursday with the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. And we'll see you there. Kyle Heyer, Hunter Slempy, Finney DeCuna bringing you the action here on SimTV. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.